If you go to Galilee in the north of Israel, you can see the excavations they've done in the village of Capernaum on the shore of the great lake there. And this is where Jesus based himself for the 3 years of his public ministry. You can see the ruins of the house of St. Peter, where Jesus probably stayed. You can see the walls of the synagogue still standing where Jesus would have worshipped and prayed and preached. I wish there were a time machine that could take us back there and we could live through these things for ourselves. The nearest we get to a time machine is the 4 Gospels. These are historical accounts of the life of Jesus written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They are based on eyewitness testimonies, and they tell the story of Jesus from 4 different perspectives. They connect us with what happened at Capernaum and further afield, and they show us all the different ways that Jesus touched the lives of people. In the town of Nain, he met a grieving woman who had lost her son, and he reached out to the dead body, touched it, and the man came to life again. When there were thousands of hungry people with him on the mountain, he fed them all with just 5 loaves and 2 fish. When a storm lashed against the boat he was in, he shouted into the wind and the waves, and everything was brought to a sudden calm. And in the village of Cana, when there was a great wedding and the drink ran out, he turned water into wine. These miracles, they were not just fairy tales or myths. There were hundreds of witnesses. The people of Galilee were no fools. They could spot a fake wonder worker. I love the story of the paralyzed man in St. Mark's Gospel. Some people carry a friend on a stretcher to meet Jesus. They are desperate for him to be healed, but the crowd is so thick they can't get in. So they climb up on top of the house. They dig through the roof. It's made of branches and mud, and they lower the man on the stretcher down to meet Jesus at his feet. Why would they go to such extremes? Because they recognized a power and an authority in him that they couldn't find anywhere else. When he talked, it was as if the wisdom of God was speaking through him. When he forgave sins, it was as if the mercy of God was reaching out to touch them. And when he prayed, it was as if there were no distance between heaven and earth. He was fixing a world that had somehow become broken. And wherever Jesus went, he brought people together. He invited them into his friendship. And they came together in this incredible makeshift community. There were young and old, rich and poor, Jew and Gentile, saints and sinners, priests and prostitutes. No one was excluded apart from those who excluded themselves. And he called this unusual community the church. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." It was as if he was opening a door into a completely new way of life. He called it the kingdom of God. It was something the Jewish people had been promised for many centuries, and it was something that all people secretly had been longing for. There was a joy that seemed to come from beyond this world, and it made people believe that life was worth living and that even death might not have the final word.